Now there is a discussion between Laura fans whether it's Almanzo or Almonzo. Almanzo is the name used on the TV show, but why do Laura fans, especially those of her real life, think they're wrong? Well, besides the fact that how are you going to get the nicknames Manly and Manny out of Almanzo? I don't know, but you can hear today a recording of Laura's own voice. They've been doing it so long that you could get it as an audio cassette and as a CD. It was made when the Clara Weber out in California at the Pomona Public Library got the Barbara Brooks to donate the set of dolls that were made to look like Laura. Laura responded with a typed written letter that she then read out loud. You can really tell she's reading it, not speaking, but it is Laura's voice, and it's pretty cool to hear. Now, the other great thing about this is not only does it have Laura's voice, and you can listen to her talk, and you can hear how she says Almanzo as Almanzo, but it also has on the, well, what was the flip side, the second half on here, have Pa's Fiddle, and it is the best way to hear Pa's Fiddle specifically. Now, there are lots of different musical recordings over the years, but if you just want to hear the fiddle, this is the best way, because almost all the others have the fiddle with some other instruments. In fact, my favorite, if you're just looking for Laura music to hear, we have a tribute to Charles Pa Ingalls. Now, this also has Pa's original fiddle on it, and it's gorgeous music, but apparently that fiddle is part of the first Bluegrass Symphony Orchestra. At least it seems like they have that many different instruments. There's even a bagpipe in one of them. But anyway, it's beautiful fiddle music with Pa's Fiddle and a bunch of other instruments, or you can hear just Pa's Fiddle on the Laura Speaks and also hear Laura's own voice. You can get both of these things from the Laura home site. Since they have the fiddle, it's nice to get it from Mansfield, but you can do it from any of them. And with that, I'd like to thank you for spending this Laura Minute with me. Come back next time for another Laura in a Minute. Welcome to Laura in a Minute, and today we're going to talk about the first edition of the books. Now, when the Little House books first came out, they were not illustrated by Garth Williams. They were illustrated by Helen Sewell and later by Mildred Boyle, who worked together on one version of the books. Sewell's work is considered a lot dreamier and child storybookish compared to Williams, which is considered more accurate, which may be true about a lot of things, but is not true when it comes to the clothes. A friend of mine who does historic clothing has gone through and done a whole paper talking about whether the fashions Laura describes are time appropriate or not and what they look at, and she says Sewell's got it on the nose. Well, the other thing to know about these books is they are not only styled differently, there's also two different sizes. The first four are these square books, and after that they were transformed to look more like adult novels. So they're thicker and they are narrower and shorter. So this is how you will find these original books. Now, the ones that you find from HarperCollins are pretty expensive, but there was another company called Cadmus that also printed out copies of the same books on the same plates and on books that were bound to higher quality. However, they were only sold to libraries and schools, the higher quality, to keep them in better shape while they were being read by all sorts of different people. So if you want to read a first version of the books, look for the Cadmus copies, which you can find for much less money. Now, if you want even less money to see what the Sewell versions are like, there's the Little House Treasury, which has come out twice in 2 different editions. And it has the first 3 books in here. And you can see the Sewell illustrations for yourself. Now, that big standard reedition that came out in 1954, that is where Garth Williams' books comes in. And we will talk about him on another Laura in a Minute. Welcome to Laura in a Minute. And today we're going to make a quick mention of the Hallmark Playhouse. Now, back when TV movies were a thing, the Hallmark Hall of Fame put on high-quality productions of special movies every single year. Well, they used to do that on the radio too. And in fact, one of the books they made into a movie was The Long Winter. Full rights purchased and everything. Well, this was so popular that the then editor, the Smet News, Aubrey Sherwood, decided it would be a great idea to purchase the rights to use that script. And so he did. And it was because of that the Smet Pageant got its start. Now today, it uses different scripts pretty much every year. Right now, they are in a rotation of doing one of Laura's books every year and then cycling through. And they don't always do The Long Winter, but that is how it got started, which I think is a great story. And it's also, the other interesting thing about this production is that it's also the other place besides the TV show that I've ever heard it pronounced Almanzo, or at least someplace that didn't clearly get it off the TV show. So they do Almanzo too. And that is Laura in a Minute.